Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of week 3. In this lesson, we are going to look at images in HTML. My name is Mildred. In last week's lesson, we introduced images and we saw that we can use the image tag to insert an image on the web page. We want to look further at how we insert more images. For this, we are going to use a downloaded image that I have downloaded here in my file, image.jpg, and we're also going to try to use image from the internet using the image link like this. Alright, so let's look at the last lesson's links that we created. Let's say we have this link for the courses, and for courses I want to delete all of this content and I want to insert an image, and we want this image to have full areas. So I will use the image tag written img like this. It is a void element, doesn't have a close tag. The source attribute will specify the link to the resource, and also want to put an alt attribute, and we also want to put a style attribute. So for this, we're going to have the link to the resource that we are trying to link to, or the image address of that image on the internet. So let's try to use the image on the internet first. So I'll put that link address here. The alt attribute, I'm going to add the text that we want to load if for whatever reason the page refused to load. So let me say programming courses here as the alt attribute, and then the style here. So we have this image inserted. Let's look at the page. So I'm going to the page and refresh, and I'll look at the courses to see we have the image inserted here for courses. Okay, the image does nothing, but we have images here. We want to perform a different action based on wherever we click on this image. If we click on JavaScript, we want it to redirect to a page that shows us all of the information about that course. The same thing for CSS for that. So we want to make this like a map that defines clickable areas. So now we've seen how we can insert the image, but we want to use this further. We want to create a map. Whenever we want to create an image map, there is something we must do on the image tag. We must have a specific attribute that we specify here for it to be able to link this to a map, and that attribute is the useMap attribute. So we use useMap, and then we'll put a value for the useMap. So I'll say my value here is let's say image map like this. So I can use the number sign here because I also want to use this to link to a map. The next thing I want to have after the image is another element that we use to create a map, and that element is called the map element. So I'll start map and I'll end map. So between the start and end map, I want to define all of the areas. So I'm going to have the area tag. So you have the image, and then you now have a new attribute, the useMap attribute. When we have the useMap attribute here, we use that to link to the map, and within the map element we have area elements here. So this will define all of the clickable areas for each of the image, where we have the coordinates and the shape of the image and everything. But we can't do this on our own to know how to look at this image and know what are the coordinates, what is the shape and everything. We have a tool we can use online, imagemap.net, where we can select an image. So I'll go to my downloads and select that image here. So which means I want to use this image from my PC rather than the image on the web address. So I'm going to come to my image link, and for the source attributes I want to have the path to a local image. So you can do that with an image online, but I'll use a local image for mine. So this is on my desktop in a HTML file, so I'll go out once. I have to leave the desktop to get to the download directory, and then the name of the image in the downloads directory is image.jpg. And so once I get this, I'm going to come here, refresh my page to ensure that I still have the image loaded here. So once this is done, I can now see that I have the image locally sourced. So I'll go back to the web page, imagemap.net, and I've uploaded the image already. I want to define a clickable area. So here the shape is, I want to use a rectangle. Then I'll click on this and I'll say show me code. I'll close and I'll try to define this rectangle from here to here. So I want it to give me this coordinates, right? I'll add a new area, and let's say I want to use a rectangle again. So you can use rectangle, you can use poly, you can use circle, and you can have a default that defines the entire region. So I want to use rectangle, and I want to use it for this one. So I want to create that map here to say I want to get the coordinates for this. All right, so when whenever the user clicks on this image, I want it to do something new. Then I'll create a new one, and I want this to be rectangle also, and I want to do this also. So you go to imagemap.net, upload the image you want to use, and now I can click on show me code and copy this code. So now it gives me the image source, which I already have, but I'll just copy the map here. I'll come back to my code, and where I have this map, I'll delete and paste it here. Now, one thing you must do after you get your coordinates like this is to ensure that the value for the name attribute for the map is equal to the value for the use map attribute. So here's image map, and so we have image map here. For the use map attribute, you put a number sign or the pound sign before the name. So now we have the coordinates. We have a target attribute. We can specify that we want this to open on a blank web page, so I'll put _blank, and an alt attribute to show, let's say the first one is JavaScript, the second one is, let's say the second one was CSS, and the third one was HTML. And now we have a title attribute that just shows us like a tooltip when we mouse over something. So let's say JavaScript outline. Let's use this and see how the tooltip works here. Then the href attribute is the page we want to go to when that image is clicked. So for JavaScript, I want to link to the pages for the courses that we have. So we have the JavaScript course here, and we have the link to be this. So we can use this link to be the value for the href attribute here. And then we can do the same thing for CSS, get the link for CSS, and we'll paste it there to be the value for the href attributes for that. So it goes to that course. Alright, and then for HTML, we do the same thing, and we put the link to that here. Okay, so when I come here and I refresh my page, I want to click on this image to see if the map works. So I want to go to the CSS page. I'll click on this image. It takes me straight to the part of the CSS to read about it. I can come back here and say I want to talk about JavaScript. It takes me straight to the page for the JavaScript. Alright, so these are the different ways that we use this image map to be able to create a map of the image so that we have clickable areas. So in summary, we have the image tag, but we use a use map attribute that has a value which must be equal to the value of the name attribute for the map we'll define beneath the image. Within the start and end map tag, we want to have the area that defines the clickable areas. It has the href attributes that tells you where to go to when the particular part of that image is clicked. And we can also use the title attributes to have something like a tooltip. So when we hover around this, it tells us something about it, okay, and where this will go to. So this is like a tooltip. When you mouse over something, it tells you where we go, where you use, or gives an information when you define that when you mouse over. So this is JavaScript outline because I mouse over, which is exactly what I specified for the title attribute here. We also have a picture element like this. Start picture, end picture. This gives developers more control over what picture to load for responsiveness. So when I have a picture element like this, between the start and end picture tag, I have a source element, right? This source element will define the media type, which is the different screen size, and then the image. The image resource for this will be gotten using the source set attribute like this instead of source, and you specify the path to the image or the resource. And then you have now the media, where you specify things like the screen width. Let's say this will have minimum width to be 650 pixels. And then you do several layers of source elements that will specify the different images to load for different screen sizes, so that if the person goes to the site with the phone, it loads the image that is for the phone, the screen size for the phone. And then you can have a default one which just uses the image tag that will load the image in the source attribute for this tag if the browser does not support the picture element. So we are going to look at more details about how to change the default of all of these elements using CSS in the CSS course. But for now, this is where we end this lesson. Next week, we are going to look at how we can use tables and lists in HTML. Thank you and see you next week.